Okay, in the last videos we discussed nouns and all kinds of things about nouns. Now we're going to move into something different, a different topic, and the topic is right here on top. We're going to talk about adjectives. All right. Oops. Let's change the color here so we can get a different color. We'll change it to red this time. Okay, so we're going to talk about adjectives, and there's all kinds of different adjectives, and so we're going to go through them. Basically, anything that can be paired with a noun is an adjective. Okay, so we're going to break it up a little bit more than that, though. And so the first thing we're going to cover is what we call true adjectives. True adjectives, and you can read this section, of course. I'm only going to highlight a few things. I'm only going to highlight a few important things, so you're going to have to read this on your own. But a true adjective, and down here we'll look at this. A true adjective has three characteristics. They come right before the noun, immediately before the noun. Precede means before. They have comparative and superlative forms, and those are pretty big words. So they use the example slow, and so I'll show you what a comparative and superlative form is. If you were to compare two things, two cars, you would use the word slower. The black car is slower than the red car. Okay, so that's the comparative form. The superlative form, it's hard for me to say that word. Basically, that's when you say the blue car is the slowest. Okay, so this equals, when you compare things, comparative. And superlative means that there's nothing that comes super. I guess you could look at it that way. It means that there's nothing that can come before that. So if something is the slowest, it's the slowest. Nothing can be slower. So that's the superlative. Okay, so these are the two forms that true adjectives have, and they can also be used as a predicate adjective. And we haven't really discussed any of these terms yet, and so I'm going to briefly tell you what a predicate adjective is. We have, in a sentence, we have a subject and we have a predicate. Okay, an adjective is something that describes a noun. So I'll make a very short sentence. The car is slow. Okay, well, the subject would be the car. The predicate, which is the start of the verb, is, and then of course slow. So because we can use this adjective to describe car after the linking verb is, we can use it at the end of the sentence because it describes the word car. We say that's the predicate adjective. Okay, so if you don't be confused by this, because it will be clear as we go along, but those are the three terms that we're going to use for adjectives. They have a comparative form, they have a superlative form, and they can be used as a predicate adjective, which means they can be used in at the end of a linking verb, which is, are, or was, right, to describe the car. All right, so, or to describe the noun. Okay, so we're going to go on. Those are a couple terms that I wanted you to know, and hopefully you will learn them more and become more comfortable with them as we go along. So we're going to use the examples that they have here. And they compare the word the and the word slow. And they say that the is not a true adjective. Even though it's an adjective, we call it actually an article. Okay, it's an article, and an article is a special type of adjective. Okay, so don't let that confuse you. We'll look at the difference here in a second. And then they say slow is what they say, they call it a true adjective. Okay? All right. So, why? Well, let's take a look. Here's this proves that both slow and the are adjectives. Okay, these two sentences. So both slow and the are adjectives because you can put it right before a noun. Slow cars, you can say that. Slow modifies cars, so it becomes right before the noun, it's an adjective. The cars, we can say the cars because you can pair up the with cars. The is also an adjective. Okay. However, as a true adjective, slow has three characteristics that the does not have. All right. It always immediately precedes the noun being modified. What that means is this: we can say slow cars and the cars, and they both precede the noun. But what happens? We can't change the order here. We can say the slow cars. Okay. And slow has to come right before the noun. Okay, so it's a true adjective, but we cannot say slow the cars. Okay, we cannot say that. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't come right before the noun all the time. It has to precede the other adjectives. Okay, so that's because slow has to be right next to the noun it modifies. We call that a true adjective. Sometimes we use more than one true adjective at a time, and we'll talk about the order of adjectives later. But the always has to come before all the other adjectives. So the is not a true adjective. All right? Let's see what they say as we go on. Okay, that's one example. So they give two examples. The slow cars moved into the right lane, and then slow the cars moved into the right lane. You can see that they use an X to say that obviously that is not correct, just like we talked about before. It says, there is a strict left to right rule that says that articles and other types of noun modifiers as well must precede true adjectives. So the must come before the adjective, as we saw, because these sentences right here, that one makes sense. This one does not make sense. Okay, because the has to come before the true adjective. Okay, then it also has a comparative and a superlative form. We already discussed what that meant up here. And they give it to you again. The base form slow, the comparative form is slower, and the superlative form is slowest. However, the article the does not have a comparative or a superlative form. You can't say there, the, it doesn't make sense, and you cannot say this. Okay, those words don't exist, so you can see the X. So it does not have a comparative form, and it does not have a superlative form. Okay, remember, a comparative form uses the ER. The superlative form uses the EST. Okay, and then of course it cannot be used. A true noun can be used as a predicate adjective, and down here they show you the Tower of London is ancient. So ancient, they're saying, is a true adjective because it can be used as to describe the tower after the verb. Okay, so that's a predicate adjective. And of course, they're going to show you that you cannot use the word the as a predicate adjective. Okay, and we'll take a look up here. It says, the children are quiet, our dinner is ready. Both those are true adjectives. Okay, but you cannot come down here and say, oh, you can also say the clock in the hall is slow. You can use slow at the end after the verb, so it's a predicate adjective. All right. And they're going to give you, I'm looking for this example, so you can see that the cannot be used in the predicate. The clock in the hall is the. See, you can't move the to the end of the sentence, so that is not a true adjective. It must come before the noun. All right, so that's the difference between true adjectives and articles, and we're going to talk about articles in depth in the next section. But right now, we're just talking about true adjectives. Okay, so in exercise 2.1, there are 3 exercises in one. It says following. There are 3 exercises. Following are pairs of noun modifiers. One member of the pair is a true adjective, and the other member is not. And so I'm just going to do the first one with you so you can see. And then you're going to have to do the others on your own. But let's take a look at here. and I set this up on your papers just like this. It has a partial sentence, so you have to fill them in, and then you have to put X's where the ones that are improper belong. So some and strong, okay? Some, the comparative form would be summer and sumest. Obviously, those don't make sense, so we cross them out. That is not a true adjective. Strong, stronger, strongest. You can use it in the comparative form and the superlative form. So strong is a true adjective. Then the order of modifiers. I have to put these in the order that they come in. Some strong coffee keeps me awake at night. But I could not say strong some coffee keeps me awake at night. Remember that the true adjective has to come right next to the noun it modifies. We cannot put the article before that, or the determiner, okay? So, and then of course, I cannot use it as a predicate adjective. The coffee is some. That doesn't make sense. So some is not a true adjective. But I can use strong in the predicate adjective, as a predicate adjective. And they say, the coffee is strong. So that's a true adjective. And of course, the true adjective, I write the word strong. So let me take you down here, and we'll do the first one together. And then you'll do the other, I think there's 6 more. You'll do those on your own. True. So I could say truer, truer, the truer friend, and I could also say the truest. Okay, but I could not say, and I'm going to put an X here, I could not say toer. That doesn't make sense. And I couldn't say toest. Okay, those don't make sense. So I put an X there saying that they're not proper. Then the order of modifiers. Stories are in the book. Okay, so I would say 2 true stories are in the book, and that would be correct because the true has to come right next to stories. But I could not say this. True 2 stories are in the book. So I put an X saying that is not proper. All right. Predicate adjective. The stories are, well, I could use the stories are true. So I could use true at the end, and that is correct. But I could not say the stories are 2. That does not make sense. So I'd have to put an X there. So my true adjective is true. Okay? So that's how I would do those, and then I'll have you do the other ones. Each one has 2 adjectives that they give you. One is a true adjective, like this one, and one is not a true adjective. And so go ahead and walk through these exercises, and good luck. If you have questions, as always, come before class or before school, and I will help you out. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.